Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 5th, 2025, by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and The Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bucko?
Here.
Councilwoman Isla?
She will be here. She's running late.
Okay. Councilman Kirsch?
Yes, here.
Councilman Ring?
Here.
President Geiger?
Here. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will now move on to approving the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from May 7th and May 18th? Are there any questions, comments, concerns about the minutes from anyone on the dais from May 7th or May 18th? Then can I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 7th and May 18th?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Township Council reports. Anyone want to volunteer to go first?
I mean, I can go first because I think we sort of agreed that I would be the one that speaks about Chick-fil-A. But I'll get to that chronologically. So on May 21st, I attended the Proud to Be an American celebration that was over in Raritan. Very, impactful ceremony that was very well attended. So certainly glad to be there on Bridgewater's behalf. On May 25th, Council President Geiger and I participated in the Memorial Day parade and ceremony. And I don't remember seeing if you went over to the American Legion post afterwards, but I know I did. Okay, I did. I went 3 for 3. You went 2 for 3. And all kidding aside, critically important that as a community we gather each year on Memorial Day to honor the fallen, also acknowledge the sacrifices made by families of military members during and even after service. So it was again an impactful ceremony hosted by the American Legion Post 327. Also should be noted that we continue to honor the VFW that's up in Martinsville, even though they have ceased formal activities. On May 31st, I attended the Shimon and Sarah Birnbaum JCC Spring Carnival. That's co-sponsored with the township over at the mall. Very well attended, beautiful day. Food trucks, fun to be had by all. Many different vendors were there also, and I used that as an opportunity to thank them for supporting our event. A couple days ago, June 2nd, was the primary election, and we had some people more successful than others, but from our standpoint of, was the event run as a success, the answer is, as always, yes. And I wanted to call out from the clerk's office, Grace, Juliana, Allie, and Natalie for their usual work. From engineering, we had support and assistance from Cunal and Lauren, and from tax collection, Nicole, along with some of our public works employees. We, on primary election day, have 36 voting districts in 12 locations. Grace makes it look easy, but it's not necessarily that easy to make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. Yesterday, June 3rd, we opened Chick-fil-A. We had the ribbon cutting, so here's where my show and tells come in. We have our Eat More Chicken cow, and here's a piece of the ribbon. I always like to maintain a piece of the ribbons as we have them. That is really going to be, it now is, since they're open for business, an asset for Bridgewater because they are committed to being an integral part of our community. The owner-operator, we are in a very strong partnership. So it's not just a place to do business. We are not just a location for them to be situated, but they really have made a commitment to being part of everything we do, and we certainly reciprocate that. They've also brought 90 jobs some career, some, potentially more geared toward entry level and younger workers, but nonetheless, 90 additional workers will be coming through Bridgewater on a regular basis. And if I missed anything, I know that Councilman Bucko was there, Council President Geiger was there. If I've missed anything, you can certainly hit those as well. Today, the Environmental Commission just met. Since they just met, I didn't have a chance to get a report, but I will report at the next meeting. They are now active and an asset on behalf of the community. And two things that are coming up that I wanted to mention, because it's before we meet again. On June 12th, that's a week from tomorrow, we will be having our first ever Flag Day Hopkinson flag raising ceremony. So I think everyone is pretty familiar with the Hopkinson story. It is a unique version of the American flag because it's the first version of the American flag. With all due respect to Betsy Ross in Philadelphia and the circular design of the 5-pointed stars, in Bridgewater Township, a version that had 6 pointed stars in a slightly different array was raised on Flag Day 1777, and that is the first time it's happened in America. So what will happen a couple days sooner than Flag Day, just because we wanted to pick a weekday, is a week from Friday we will have a brief ceremony, and we will raise this flag, so everyone can kind of see their 6-pointed stars, and we'll have a brief ceremony, and hopefully that will become part of a new tradition where we kick off essentially the July 4th celebration that occurs each year at Middlebrook by raising this or a similar flag on our property. We'll do it at the Garrettson roadside, and for about 3 weeks fly this flag, and hopefully it'll be a point of conversation and discussion. Want to just acknowledge that it is proper flag etiquette and code to fly either the current flag of the United States or a historically appropriate flag, and that's what we will be doing at least this year for 3 weeks, and I hope that becomes a tradition for many, many years. And then the other item I have is just to point out the crescendo of our patriotism will hopefully be on July 4th at the Washington Campground. So around town, you'll see some of these signs. Everyone is cordially invited, and certainly at a future meeting I can provide details there. But we hope to see, Flag Day, this ceremony will do, and what occurs at the campground on the 4th of July be tied together, and hopefully a nice new Bridgewater tradition. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Bucko?
Thank you very much. I also attended the Spring Carnival put on by the Bridgewater JCC, and would like to also echo Councilman Kirsch's comments, thanking the organizers, public works employees, the police, fire, and rescue squads who were there to make it happen. I also would like to point out that I got to meet the sheriff's newest, youngest canine, Lucy, who was handled by Sergeant Snook, and got a trading card of hers. Lucy is a little over, almost a year and a half old, and is a explosive sniffing German Shepherd, and is the first female canine who was handled by a female sheriff's officer in Somerset County. So that's an interesting tidbit. I also want to thank our clerk and the staff, both in her office and throughout the municipality, who made the primary election and early voting a success. It's a very vital part of our democracy that we have elections that are run smoothly and professionally, and thank you very much for the hard work that went into that. I also would like to mention that a number of members of the public came to us several meetings ago expressing concern with the speed of cars exiting onto Vossler Avenue from US 22 East. And it was suggested that perhaps changing the yield sign to a stop sign could slow down the traffic. I wrote to the Department of Transportation Commissioner, in New Jersey Department of Transportation, and I'm pleased to announce that I received a letter back indicating that the Department of Transportation has determined that installing stop controls would be appropriate, and that Division of Traffic Engineering engineers will prepare the necessary work order for the stop signs and associated pavement markings to go in place, and that they will be installed at the earliest possible time. So that is, I think, good news, and will go a long way towards slowing down the traffic on Vossler Avenue, and hopefully making it safer for pedestrians and other drivers, and could potentially save a life. And on the subject of saving lives, I'd just like to also mention I have here a Narcan kit, which, if you're not aware, if somebody is experiencing an overdose of certain drugs like fentanyl, a Narcan can save their life. And you can get one of these kits from the county administration building, and you can also get them at TD Bank Ballpark, which is where this came from. Just go to the customer service counter, ask for one, and they hand you a kit, no questions asked. So if you're out enjoying a game, go get a kit, and you could save a life and potentially save somebody who you love and care about. And I believe that is it for my report.
Okay, I will go next. I attended the Memorial Day Parade, and I just want to highlight that one of the things they had there, and for me this was the highlight of the Memorial Day Parade, was you could fill out a paper dog tag, and on that dog tag you could put the name of anyone, any friend, family, anyone you knew who had served in the armed services. So I was able to write down my father's name and several of my family members who were World War II veterans. And I was told afterwards that they are collecting these paper dog tags, and they will eventually, when they have enough of them, they will make a wreath that will hang up in the VFW in Bradley Gardens. So if anyone wants to make a dog tag for their relative or friend or neighbor who served in the armed services, go to the Memorial Day Parade at Bradley Gardens next year, and you can do so. There have been some snafus lately regarding missed announcements or commemorative events. So I have contacted Grace, and Grace is in the process, if she has not already done so, which she probably did, creating a list of future events so that we won't miss any in the future for the meeting. So we'll try to be more diligent. And to segue into that, May was Jewish American Heritage Month. And I do want to acknowledge that Bridgewater has a very vibrant and active Jewish community. You heard the talk about the most recent event from the other two councilmen. I think we're very grateful for all that our Jewish community does in this town. And I think everybody who went to the event last weekend really enjoyed it. And that segues into our fun history fact. I know we talk a lot about America being a Christian country, and we think of the revolution sometimes in those terms, but I did some research, and I found that there was a local soldier known as Sergeant Aragon Lutzader, Luzzader. He was Jewish, and he was born in Bound Brook in 1731, and he served in the Revolution in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and participated in several major engagements. We don't know specifically if he ever fought in Bridgewater per se, but he probably walked through here and probably did spend some time here. I also attended a Victory Town event in Hillsborough, and I met the mayors of Hillsborough and Manville. And just for the record, they were both Republican, and I think everybody knows I'm a Democrat. And one of the things that we were talking about is that history is an area where, regardless of party affiliation, we can all be proud of and we can all agree, and it's an area where we can certainly work together. We all had our pictures taken with a George Washington reenactor on a great big horse, and it was a lot of fun. I also attended the EMS proclamation ceremony. Councilman Kirsch was there, and Councilman Bucko was there as well. That was on May 22nd, 2026. There has been some confusion about this, so if anyone would like to get up at the podium during the public speaking portion of today's meeting and just say a word about being thankful and all of the wonderful things that our EMS workers have done. We have one sitting on the dais here. I would just ask that the other members of the public let them go first. And also, last, another missed commemorative. Apparently in May there was a DPW Appreciation Week. And I think we all appreciate our DPW workers. And I know that very often we hear a lot of concerns from residents about fallen trees, about water problems, about snow removal. But one of the things we also hear is we get a lot of compliments about our DPW workers. I hear a lot, and I'm sure the other members on the dais hear a lot, and I'm sure Mr. Pappas hears it a lot, that they are always polite, they're always helpful, and they really do the best they can with what they have. And lastly, with respect to the Chick-fil-A ribbon cutting, I just want to give a shout out to the planning board members that came. These are private people, these are private citizens who aren't getting paid. They took time out of the middle of the day to come and be there for the opening. Oh, and finally, I lied. I do have one more. I want to give a shout out to Nancy Probst, our land use administrator and deputy zoning officer, and to our very own Grace. Those of you who read the Breeze would know that last month they did a full page about Grace, and this month they did a full page about Nancy, and I can't wait to see who they're doing a full page about next week. Is that the youth council that wrote those articles? Yeah. Okay, so maybe you want to address that. And with that, Councilman Ring, it is your turn.
Thank you. I'll echo the thanks and appreciation regarding primary night. I unfortunately was not able to make the ribbon cutting at Chick-fil-A yesterday, but I did travel past there twice today, and both times there was quite a line of cars still there. So hopefully it's a long, successful business. May 20th, I had the opportunity to attend the annual 200 Club Valor Awards ceremony. This year, they issued 2 Valor Awards, one to a group of prosecutors folks and some officers from Manville, Somerville, but they also recognized Bridgewater's own Noah Allant for his actions related to the car accident last year on Route 22 that I know we're all very familiar with, but he was formally recognized by the 200 Club. Anyone's not familiar with the 200 Club of Somerset County, it is an organization that raised funds to support first responders, police, fire, EMS. Several years ago, someone I knew in EMS passed away, and within 2 days, they wrote a check to his widow to help with funeral expenses before the insurance kicked in. They've done things where they've paid off mortgages. Police officer died in the line of duty. So they do a lot for the first responders. They also have a very aggressive scholarship program for first responders, family members, or anyone looking for a career in police, fire, or EMS. So 200 Club is a great organization that supports our first responders here. That's my report.
Councilman Isla.
Thank you so much, Council President. And I'd like to start also with wishing everyone a happy Jewish American Heritage Month. And I wanted to particularly thank the JCC. They hosted beautifully decorated boxes right at the entrance of the JCC right here in Bridgewater by the Bridgewater Youth Council that resulted in 111 pounds of food being donated directly to the Somerset County Food Bank at a time where I can't emphasize enough how much food insecurity we have in a very, considered from a state standard, richer part of the state, the Somerset County. But there's a lot of food insecurity, so I really appreciate the JCC for hosting the boxes. A lot of times you have time to go to the food bank and volunteer, but sometimes you don't. So it's nice to be able to just drop off and have the drop box right where you're entering every day. So I thought that was amazing. And that just happened a few weeks ago. And I want to thank one of our volunteers, Liz, for actually collecting 111 pounds and taking it over to the food bank, and then also learning about, not just the long lines that were visually active, but speaking to the director at the food bank and learning how much more we can help out. It is, I think, some of the longest lines they've ever seen there. So I'll start off with this Monday. We had our Regional Health Commission meeting. It was held in Watchung. The last one was in Bridgewater. This time we talked about everything from FIFA. FIFA players are here, so they are playing in Pingri. What I'll do is share the meeting minutes with our council, because we have captured a lot of the details, what to avoid, the dates to avoid, those roads when they are doing the practice right here, very much overlapping with Bridgewater, Martinsville area. And then we also spoke about the infectious diseases. It wasn't just about mosquitoes and ticks. Mosquitoes might be at a 0 level now. There's a lot of data coming out on the ticks as well. But we also talked about other types of diseases that, could come up when we have these FIFA and then other 250 year celebrations in town or in our nearby town. So just, keep an eye out on anything that the Regional Health Commission mentions. We have been doing press releases, as you saw earlier this year, with measles. There is a quarantine going on with anyone that could be impacted by Ebola. So, nothing to stress out over right now. Everyone's negative, but, there's travelers. And there was actually a traveler from the Health Commission itself. So, they're being quarantined. So everything is being looked at and monitored. So, if I hear anything, we'll definitely share that with you. And then off to Tuesday this week, we actually had our planning board meeting, and our special planning board meeting was held in the library since it was election day. And I wanted to thank our township planner, Catherine Sarmat, for really doing real-time work. I had a little request from Tim Kenny, one of our residents who spoke at our recent council meeting about native trees. So I don't have a green thumb, as a lot of people in this room might know. Things die in my backyard. Once my mom plants it, it doesn't last very long when she doesn't visit back. But he shared the Rutgers list with us last time, and in real time, I think with the one of the discussions on Tuesday, Catherine Sarmad was able to do a cross-check in real time at the meeting to see the plant schedule. They were actually, I think, almost a dozen or two native trees already there. So, it's nice when our upcoming plans, the builders are very much aligned with what our residents like to see in their neighbors' new developments. So thank you for that, and keep sharing your ideas. I think it's important. And then I'll go off to, I guess, today. I'm sorry again, I did walk in late. There were quite a few events. I'll start with one just last week. I wanted to wish a belated Eid Mubarak. So last Wednesday was we have two Eid celebrations for Muslims. This was the second one. The last one was Ramadan. This was just last Wednesday, where we actually celebrated at the Al Falah Center, but also in the evening, it coincided with American, Asian American, and Pacific Islander Happy Heritage Month, and it was a celebration at the governor's mansion in Drummarket. So I was with Mikey Sherrill, our governor, and Lieutenant Governor Dale Caldwell, and it was beautiful presentations, dances. Really enjoyed there. And then today I was late because the Muslim Americans in Public Service had an event where I was speaking alongside our Lieutenant Governor again and Mayor James Solomon from Jersey City. I came here right after, but it was really nice, seeing a lot of folks that are really sharing a lot of the same issues that we're having right here in Bridgewater with other leaders across the state. So again, I think that's enough. There were probably other places that I've been to around town, but I can catch up on those next time. And then the Bridgewater Youth Council that President Joan Geiger mentioned, there is an article out there where they shared some of their ideas, but there's a survey out there also. Feel free to share your ideas with them. Just because they can't vote on election day, these are 14, 15, 16 years old, it doesn't mean that they can't influence policy making, right? We saw that recently with the Lung Cancer Initiative. So let's keep that going, that even when you can't vote, there's so many things that you can get involved in town. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Pappas, would you like to give the mayor's report?
Yes, thank you very much. The mayor also wanted to acknowledge the efforts of the JCC in cooperation with the numerous township departments such as police, public works, and the OCR, and certainly our emergency responders for a very, very successful carnival, which he was very happy to attend. Councilman Kirsch mentioned the Flag Day event, and the township is extremely pleased to be able to participate and support that event with our historical organization partners. The last thing I just want to mention, I know it's listed as a presentation, but Dickie Shimp is here to talk about Trees for Tomorrow, and I certainly wanted to acknowledge his ingenuity and his hard work in putting this concept together that we're very, very excited about. There is a resolution on the agenda tonight that would help put that in place, and I know he'll describe all of that, but I really appreciate all of his efforts and the organization of this program that he has established with his team. But the other person that I want to acknowledge that has been an important part of supporting this is Suzanne Mader, who has assisted greatly in the promotional materials on our website and other social media that has gotten the word out about this. So the two of them have really worked very, very well together, and I really appreciate, and the mayor I know very much appreciates this. Thank you.
Thank you, Township Administrator. There are no proclamations. There is a presentation, Trees for Tomorrow by Mr. Shimp. Mr. Shimp, if you would come up, and if anyone wants to take a look at the May Bulletin, there's a whole page about it. And Mr. Shimp?
Hey, council members, thank you for having me tonight. And Council President Geiger, thank you, and everyone else for the kind words about our staff at DPW. So there's not a day that really doesn't go by down in my world where we talk or don't think about stormwater and the effects that it brings upon the township of Bridgewater. One of the things we kicked around, I have a great staff and a great team at Public Works, is a program we were trying to figure out how to do something that's green and also that can help us with stormwater. And our staff came up with this program, Trees for Tomorrow. So what it involves is, of course, planting trees, improving stormwater, and committing to a greener and healthier tomorrow. The program, what it entails, is that we're looking to plant trees along the roadside in neighborhoods. We're going to try to spread this program out evenly as possible throughout the township. In Public Works, we live and die by our maps, and our township is spread into 6 areas, and we're going to try to hit each of those areas equally through this program. We're going to use native trees, and the trees that we have kind of selected vary in size because we know we're going to experience different impediments as we go out here and look at different properties. These trees are also that we're offering driven by the availability of native trees at the nursery, that contractor that we're going to be enlisting to help us run this program. The primary focus here, though, is these trees are going to be out of the townships right away. And we're going to try to keep them away from any of the utilities overhead or underground. Residents will be responsible for care and pruning of these trees. Currently, as of today, we have 184 residents that signed up for the program. It's a lot of people. Thankfully, through the efforts of Mr. Pappas and the support of the mayor, we're allocating approximately $60,000 towards this program. And in our math, in which I had to take off my shoes a few times to count, we expect to probably hit about 120 of those residents out of the 180. That should bring us up around $50,000. I'm looking to probably use the leftover of that amount, between $10,000 or so, to, one, pay for fertilization of these trees by the contractor, and also we're going to have a few areas in town in our park system in which we're looking to replace trees that have fallen over the years. We're definitely looking over here at the municipal turf field of trying to bring some shade, because I know a lot of our soccer parents don't have anywhere to sit other than the blazing sun. So that's part of the program is going to be used towards that as well. The goals of our program is to increase tree canopy coverage on private property and improve stormwater management. As you know, or may not know, trees will help reduce runoff. The leaves on the trees themselves will actually capture water, and a lot of that water will eventually evaporate back into the atmosphere. Not all of that water is going to fall to the ground. The canopy of these trees also will slow water down from getting into our drains and causing issues. As you all know, we had two flash flooding events last summer, June and August of last summer. It affected mostly our northern part of the town. And during that event, we saw approximately 3 or 4 roads that we haven't seen in the past become impassable due to, I think we got 2 inches of rain in like a 40-minute period. So we're hoping that this will help us through this program to alleviate some of the water getting into our stormwater system. Also, with the benefit of the trees, roots allow the water to penetrate into the ground. Less water sheeting off of lawns and roadways equal less water in our storm drains. So we're looking to plant as many as we can this year, and I'm hoping to continue the program next year. The funds that this is going to be taken out of is not taxpayer driven. It is the shade tree removal fund, so it will be something that is not, the cost is not borne upon the taxpayers. So the process is every resident who has applied so far is placed into our Public Works work order system. And the work order system actually has divided that, all the addresses up into the 6 areas around town. Plantings, as I said before, plantings will be divided as equally as possible between the 6 areas. What's going to take a little bit of time is for our staff to visit each address and assess the situation as to, A, if the situation is a good spot for a tree to be planted and what type of tree should be planted. We're going to have a checklist, so we're pretty much going to apply this evenly to every residence that we visit. Trees, again, will be planted outside the right-of-way. Utility locations are the driving decision of tree size and planting. Residents can express a preference of tree, but staff will make a final determination as to what tree will go in there. And generally, the trees we selected vary in height, as I said, vary in canopy width. Suzanne, if you could just hit the next one. So we have one that's a red maple. The red maple will get up to approximately 60 to 70 feet tall. So a lot of residents may not be able to house a red maple. So in that regards, we picked 3 other trees, one being a Canada red chokeberry. And I'm sure you've seen these type of trees through town. They're a purplish color. They start out green in the spring and turn a deep purple. They'll get to be about 20 to 30 feet tall and about 15 to 20 feet wide. So that's a kind of a medium-sized tree, whereas the red maple is one of our tall, large trees. Our third tree we're looking to offer is called Amelanchier serviceberry. Now basically it's kind of an ornamental tree. It's smaller in size. It can get to anywhere between 15 and 30 feet, but the ones I've seen around town generally are in the 20-foot range. This has berries that start in the spring along with flowers, so it will supply wildlife with food. And And it's just a nice-looking tree that will be able to be placed in areas that are tight. We call it the maze, down off of Vanderveer Road area. We have a lot of residents in that neighborhoods that want trees planted on their property. So those types of residents, as we all know, if you've been down there, may not be able to see the red maple, but we have smaller trees that should fit their property. And the last one that we have is an eastern redbud leaf, and this one also starts out with flowers. In the springtime, it will have fruit that birds like to eat, and then eventually it will turn into a green foliage type tree. This one, again, this one should be around 20 feet tall, 20 to 25 feet tall, and roughly 20 feet wide. This type of tree, we will be telling the residents they may want to prune it, because if they don't prune it, it will kind of turn into a bush, because the lower part of the tree will branch out if they're not pruned upward. So with that being said, we're looking to start rolling out this program. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to make my first field visit. We've had to come up with ways of leaving residents messages, in which we came up with a form. And most people are at work, so they're not home when we're there. So we'll drop off a form saying that we have reviewed their application. We'll have a QR code on that will bring them right to those 4 trees that you have seen. And then we will follow up with either a phone call or via email to get in touch with them, to talk to them about what type of tree they may want. And we'll also probably talk to them about the location of where that tree may be. We've had some residents inquire, can we put it in the backyard? Can we put it on the side yard? And we've told those residents that no, this tree is primarily for lining our streets. And it's going to stay in just out of our right of way. To plant this on private property, we will require a right of entry from each of these residents. And they'll also have to sign off that they're going to take care of the tree once it's in their possession, and that they understand that this tree is theirs and theirs to own. All trees on our township roadways are really the possession of the residents, but we're going to make it quite clear that these trees that we're planting are their trees. With that being said, any questions?
So every once in a while, you plant something and it doesn't succeed. What happens if we plant a tree on someone's lawn and that tree dies?
So we got about a year to make a claim.
Okay.
With our contractor. He is going to, so the contractor, we had a meeting once I learned of the bid opening for this contractor. We had a meeting and talked, and so they're going to fertilize it. We will have to purchase the fertilizer. They're going to use amended soil, and they're going to mulch the tree. They're going to put a resistant wrap that will prevent deer from rubbing up against a tree. Because in their experience, they do several towns in the area with this type of program. They've had deer come up and kind of rub the bark off these newly minted trees that they planted. Generally, the trees are going to start out in the area of around 5 to 6 feet. Nothing big yet, but a lot of these trees are growing at a rate of about 1 to 2 feet a year. So some of these trees we may not be around for some of these trees when they get to their final height, but they should be enjoyed by a lot of people.
And who's responsible for 211?
I'm sorry?
Who's responsible for 211, call before you dig?
The contractor will be making that call. Thank you.
Okay. So they'll call on behalf of the homeowner.
Yeah. So what we'll be doing, though, is trying to keep a tight area of, residents, because the contractor doesn't want to run all over the town so they can come in. The one thing we're experiencing now, as you all know, is a drought. And so generally what we're going to try to do is get some trees in for the rest of the month of June. I'm hoping to have something in by the end of June. In talking to them and looking at our drought situation, we're probably going to hold off through the July, August months and start the program back up in the fall. I want to kind of ensure that we give the tree as much support as possible and not plant it where residents may forget to water. And some of these trees you do have to water weekly to keep them survivable.
I can't thank you enough. This is just wonderful.
Thank you. it's a good team I have. So we got a lot of people.
We know that it's a good team you have because everybody in town tells us that.
Thank you.
I'd like to echo that for my neighbors. I live on top of a hill, but my neighbors that are on the bottom of the hill, I know they filled out the application. They're very excited about it. And especially from the event I came, the MAPS event, I met with folks that work at the DEP, and this was exactly like perfect timing. They shared, build more trees. I'm like, we have on our agenda trees for tomorrow, for floodwater management, especially with Ida, that, Council President Geiger has talked about many times. Let's do things like this, but in a, very specific to the geography where these zones are, downhill, uphill, keeping those in mind and prioritizing it. So thank you for the thoughtful presentation today.
You're welcome. And this does help us with stormwater points with New Jersey DEP.
Yes, thank you.
It's a good program.
Whoever picked out the trees, I thought they were all beautiful.
Thank you. I hope everyone's happy with them. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. Okay. We will now open the meeting to the public after a motion. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will have 3 minutes to speak, which may be extended in the discretion of the council president. An additional minute will be allotted for responses to comments from the dais. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone here that wants to talk about the EMS worker appreciation week it was last month? Okay. Anyone else want to say anything? You better get up here and thank Mr. Schimpf for planting native trees.
Okay,
Did you sign it?
yeah, I'll do it
You
after.
sign it, okay.
Yes, I am Tim Kenny, 198 Shore Hills Drive, and I'd like to thank everyone who got involved for involving native trees. Yes, but one thing is that I heard is fertilizer. Native trees are used to our soil, so you don't have to fertilize them. Well, they can handle the soil because they've been here for thousands of years. So, but obviously the deer, what they do is in the fall when the bucks have their velvet on them, they rub them against new trees because it's soft, and they even eat the bark when it's tender. So that's why you need protection for them. So if you're in an area like we all are, where we have these goats, they're a lot like goats. Their teeth and their stomachs are like goats. So that's why they eat our trees and plants. But it's really a bigger issue. I don't want to be known as the native tree guy, right? And you talked about public
Too late.
health. Yeah, exactly. Okay. What's happening is bacteria. There's thousands of different bacterias, obviously viruses as well. And we've seen what's happening around the globe. And Councilman Isla brought that up tonight. Thank you for bringing that up. So I saw something today in the news that was interesting because the ground is getting warmer. I know not everyone in both parties agrees on global warming, but because the soil is getting warmer, the bacteria in the soil is becoming resistant to the antibodies that they're given in the hospitals. And so I'm not going to talk more about the problem. Obviously, it's a huge issue. People are dying of bacterial infections because the antibodies are not working. Mm-hmm. So we have to do everything we can to bring down the temperature of our planet. And native trees obviously help because trees will take the heat and they absorb it, the water, and absorb it. So they breathe out oxygen, so they help us too, right? So they're our inverse. So that's why we need them. So I just want to make sure that we're doing anything we can to bring down that temperature. with clean energy, any sort of program that you can to put in our town that is going to help that temperature come down.
You know, I forgot to tell you to state your name.
I did that.
Did, okay, you did.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. All right. So does anybody have any questions about what I said? No? Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you.
everything you did.
Thank you for bringing up the superbug, the antibiotic resistance.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? You can sign later, too.
Who?
You can sign later,
Oh,
too.
yes, okay.
Just, yeah, you can
Yeah.
pull it down,
Yep.
because you're also broadcasting.
Much better. I'm Michelle Glicklick, 4 Sterling Drive, Bridgewater. I just want to say I did not have an opportunity to say thank you and be part of the celebration that you had for the EMS workers. And I would like to say I really appreciate, and I'm sure we all appreciate what they've done.
We have one right here.
Yes.
4
Thank you,
a.m.,
thank
they
you.
saved my life. Thank you.
So it's very important, and they're not acknowledged enough times. So I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge them.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Would anyone else like to address the council?
Seeing no one, I move to close our public comment.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we have the introduction of ordinances. An ordinance, an ordinance amending Chapter 206 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Article XVI, Traffic and Parking in Public and Semi-Public Places pursuant to NJSA 39:5A-1 of the Municipal Code of the Township of Bridgewater, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, so as to add a new section 59.3 entitled Starbucks, 1298 Route 22. Would you like to just briefly explain this,
Sure.
Township Administrator?
There are times where private property owners have, in this case, had a site plan approval before a land use board, and within the site plan, it had provisions for handicap designated parking, perhaps stop sign, and this ordinance will enable the municipal police department to enforce those signs as if they were on public roads.
Does anybody on the dais have any questions or comments about it?
Some people may not realize that the police department is limited on enforcement to public roads. So I know this has come up on other properties in the past, so.
When you go to a parking lot, when you see those signs that say board member, they're typically done this way, like any private.
Thank you.
I'll move the introduction of it.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
I think we have to have a roll call because it's an ordinance.
Yeah. Councilman Bacco?
Yes.
Wait, mark this down. Grace rarely misses anything.
It was a delay, it wasn't a miss.
All right. Councilwoman Isla? Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Geiger?
Yes.
The final action for this ordinance is scheduled for June 25th, 2026 at 7 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance is available on the township website, the bulletin board, and in the clerk's office.
Okay, moving on to resolutions. We have a resolution to rescind the petty cash fund for the Public Works Department. I don't think there's too much to it, but Township Administrator, if you want to give a brief explanation.
Yes, our auditor realizes they go through records. They found a petty cash fund designating a lady who is no longer an employee in Bridgewater Township listed, and this simply rescinds that.
Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Second, I'll second it. All in favor, I think we need a roll call.
Councilman Bacco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Geiger?
Yes. Next, 12B, authorizing the reduction of taxes due to approved state tax appeals and refund of an overpayment for a property located at 10 North Crossing Road. This is just something we have to do. They won the tax appeal, so that's that. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make the motion with a brief comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Sometimes, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is just another one of those situations where we're refunding the money, including the money that was distributed to other taxing authorities, such as the school board and the county. But
It's probably not
Oh, okay.
we rarely use it. Probably something.
Yeah, and I'm going to sound like a broken record too, but we have very few tax appeals in Bridgewater, so.
Very high collection.
And a very high collection rate. Very good.
Administrator can crow about that.
Good. Good. There you go.
but that was a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Backup?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
And President Geiger?
Yes. 12C, authorizing the award of contract to the law firms of Lavery, Salvaggi and Cohen, P.C., and McMahon, Scotland, and Bauman, LLC, to provide professional legal services for legal matters requiring a special counsel for Bridgewater Township for the year 2026. This is related to our litigation with Warren Township right now. I don't know if you want to give any further explanation. Township Administrator, it's up to you.
No, I think frankly, this was just an oversight. This should have been done earlier in the year, and it just cleans it up.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt this
Make a
resolution?
motion to adopt 12C.
Second?
Roll call.
Before we vote on that, do we have the amount of the expected total spend?
It's just authorizing them if needed, so it's not actual spend. So we've done this frequently where we go out, collect bids, we approve people that they can then subsequently be hired.
I understand that, but just concerned that it seems to be open-ended.
Well, it is not in that, as Councilman Ring said, these are authorized to serve if the township needs them. There is, and I don't know what the actual line item budget is for this, but there is a cap that for any special counsel that we could expend funds without council further authorization. So it's not open-ended.
Constrained by the budget, but we can pull that line and whatever it is that administrator report.
Yeah, I would like to know the amount.
It's never very much on either one of these, but we can certainly get that information. I'll get that.
It's my understanding this isn't huge litigation. At least I think they're mostly talking, right? They're mostly,
Could have big impact, though.
Yeah, but also not expensive. Yeah, probably never.
okay. Can I have a motion to approve? I think we did that.
You got a motion, you got
Yeah.
a second?
Yeah, we got a second, so we need a roll call.
Councilman Backup?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Geiger?
Yes. And moving on to D, authorizing the award of contract with SJC Lawn Care, Inc., 305 Elizabeth Avenue, Cranford, New Jersey, to provide tree supply and planting services for the Trees for Tomorrow program in an amount not to exceed $60,000. That was the program that Mr. Shrimp just explained, and it is not costing taxpayer dollars. Is there any further comment on it?
Just like to point out in the resolution, you can see there were 5 businesses that were interested in this program for other landscape companies beyond the one that is recommended here.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Backup?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Geiger?
Yes. And E, authorizing execution of a developer's agreement between the Township of Bridgewater and Bridgewater Realty 2 LLC pursuant to zoning board approval for Starbucks located on Block 222, Lot 6.01, CO1, CO2, CO3, also known as 1288 and 1298 Route 22 in the township of Bridgewater. Is there any questions, comments, or discussion about this?
I'll move it.
I do have a question. Is there any access to Morgan Lane from this property?
I'd have, Ms. Sarmed, she may remember that. The question was, in the zoning board application for the Starbucks, is there any access onto Morgan Lane in the site plan? Do you remember? Please, if you would.
Good evening. So the approval actually included the closure of the access from Route 22 right in front of that property. The Morgan Lane access restricts the right turn out of the Starbucks, so on Morgan Lane, out of it towards towards Route 28. So you can only go back out onto Route 22. And signage that was included because they were closing their Route 22 access was intended to direct to the entrance right now to the east of Stone Tavern. So that entrance, to make that a common entryway. But there is the ability to get into the site off of Morgan Lane, so making a right onto Morgan Lane from Route 22 into the site. And then also to come back out and to make a left out of Morgan Lane to get back onto Route 22.
Okay. Is there a physical barrier to prevent turning out of the property right onto Morgan Lane, or is it just signage?
There is like a triangle that kind of guides the lane right into the property. I think I'm not sure if it's constructed today, but they were going to modify it so that it could basically restrict that turnout.
Okay. To
With
the
si-
extent
with
that New
signage.
Jersey drivers sometimes do their own solution anyway.
Correct, and I can't recall if there was any condition. It feels familiar that maybe there was a condition about when they do open up, that there would be some sort of police presence to help enforcement, to have it kind of become regular, so that people wouldn't turn out the wrong way and then get ticketed, and then, it would condition people to do the right thing.
So I'll second and also acknowledge, because this was the subject of significant number of hearings before the zoning board to really get the flow onto this property right. Concerns about the highway safety, concerns about the residential neighborhood, concerns about, as I stated, both getting people on and off safely, and so those issues were addressed, we believe, successfully. Certainly time will tell, but certainly there was considerable defense, if you will, for the residential neighborhood to make sure that they don't see an unnecessary uptick in traffic. It's also it is a challenging site, though. It is within a fairly high accident corridor, and there is certainly concern about people taking their Starbucks and doing a Jersey slide across 3 lanes of traffic to get onto 287. So, through the planning process, as much of that was accommodated as possible, and certainly the real life condition once this is built will tell.
I think it's also, just to clarify too, these are not, I don't know that, we are approving a developer.
Correct.
We're voting on a developer's agreement. The discussion of turning and barricades or traffic control devices, that was all determined by the zoning board.
Correct, those
So
all became
these aren't, it's not something we can say, hey, we want to make this change to the agreement. The developer's agreement really protects us and how the site is making sure they follow our processes, procedures, payments for fees, inspections, all of that stuff.
You're 100% correct. I was really just interested in providing some additional commentary, since that is a challenging area to get cars safely on and in and out of.
I did have a quick question on pedestrian traffic. Were crosswalks addressed here, if new crosswalks are needed or updated crosswalks with the proper signage?
So most of the pedestrian activity is internal to the site, so the property is actually one larger property that takes up that whole corner. Stone Tavern is one condominium lot. The Starbucks, or the approved Starbucks that goes to the corner of Morgan Lane is one, and then there's another pad in the back that's actually approved for a hotel back there. So there is a bit of internal circulation that these properties would all share, including the drive aisle that would come in off of Morgan Lane, and then it would attach basically to the Stone Tavern, and the Starbucks would have its own internal circulation off of there, including a road that feeds the parking, and then two drive-through lanes next to one another. So in consideration of that, because there will be a lot of internal circulation, there was, I believe, conditions and their site plan showed, and it was a topic of conversation to include crosswalk areas between those connections between those different uses that were either through paint, striped crosswalks, or the depressed curbs for the walking, the pad that goes across to from the sidewalk.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't expect you to have the answer to this if you do not. But do you know the number of zoning variances that were required for this property?
There was a use variance because the drive-through was not permitted. That's why they were before the zoning board. And I believe there were a handful of setback variances for the building setback. I think that was it. But I don't have it off the top of my head.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have a motion to approve this
Already
resolution?
have it.
I don't have a roll call.
I don't have a second.
Oh, we need a second, Grace says. I'll
Well,
second
I think
it.
I seconded it.
Okay, sorry. Councilman Bacco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Geiger?
Yes. All right, moving on to F, authorizing the use of competitive contracting to procure information technology management and computer consulting services for computer programs and peripheral equipment used throughout the township. We need this, right? Anyone that's tried to use the internet in this building knows that. And is there any further discussion or questions or comments on this?
I'll move it.
I'll second. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Bacco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Geiger?
Yes.
Madam President, I'm sorry, there's one other item I forgot to mention in the report. So I think it was the last meeting, there was a member of the public who was here complaining about a drainage concern. I don't know if you folks recall that, but Mr. Ahern and I had a chance to visit him a week ago Friday and walked his property and just wanted to report to the council that I did that personally and had a very thorough conversation with him and told him that, we would be back in touch.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? We're going to go into closed session and have a fair amount of discussion, but is there any further discussion anybody wants to bring up in public? Hearing none, we will okay, I'm really, really sorry, but the public, I'll tell you what, thank you. Can I have a motion to reopen public comments?
So moved.
I'll make a motion to reopen public comment on that topic alone.
Thank you. All in favor? Everybody's in favor, right?
Aye.
We'd rather have you come up here so we can hear you anyway.
I live on Buxton Road, 1051 Buxton Road. When I was listening to the...
You got to talk into the
I was
microphone
listening
more.
to the discussion about the Starbucks, and Ridwana brought up about pedestrians. I'm just thinking about that Jiffy Lube, and that's prime for, you're sitting there waiting for half an hour. Are people going to be running across Morgan Lane? If you're a Jiffy Lube, that's prime time that you're going to maybe go walk to Starbucks to kill a half an hour. Yeah. It's just something that kind of struck me, and I don't even know if there's sidewalks on Morgan Lane.
So I don't believe there's sidewalks that turn off of 22 right there. I think it actually did, in my recollection, did not come up during the hearing. about that. So what I assume will likely happen, because there's not crosswalks, is someone will try it maybe once and then not again. Two, they will likely go and get their Starbucks and then go to their Jiffy Lube appointment, hopefully. But I think one of the things just off the top of my head is you should only build things if you want to invite that kind of use. So if you want to invite pedestrians to cross Morgan Lane, which would have to be at the corner, it can't just be in the middle across their driveways, you would have to sign for it, put signage up, and then put a crosswalk, and then you would be inviting people to be crossing there, which sometimes is not the best thing, particularly when you're on a state highway. And there's a turn onto Morgan Lane to get in there, where there might not be people who see the pedestrians because they're moving at a high speed of travel. So while I think in theory what you're saying will make sense, it will attract people who are moving between those two uses, who are going to get their car service and want to get a drink. You don't necessarily want to tell them that that's okay, that's endorsed to go walk across Morgan Lane when you're coming off of 22 there.
My concern is that people will do that.
Madam President, if I may, the rationale for the traffic flow that was extensively discussed and ultimately chosen was to allow for safe access to that property and get people off of 22 to prevent rear-end collisions. That was, if I remember the details of the case, that was really the prime rationale was entry from 22 would have created likely a more dangerous scenario of people using the deceleration lane, or whatever you would call it.
In Somerville,
Right,
where
yes.
sometimes the
The
drive-through
queuing.
line is backed up onto Route 22, creating potential accident situations. Question though, for a crosswalk at Morgan and 22, I'm assuming that would have to go to the state for review, most likely?
Depends how far the state right-of-way goes into
To the
there,
property?
into the, where there's actual curbing might actually be DOT right-of-way. So that it might have to go to the DOT, and I doubt that they would want to invite pedestrians along 22.
Yeah.
And to the other points, the main topic of conversation, because this is a drive-through, right? This is an auto-oriented business that wants to attract people to stay in their cars. Their drive-through actually, I think, accommodated close to 40 cars when they were looking at it. And even then, the board showed concern that the drive-through was basically emptying out and had the potential for overflow onto Route 22. And they were very, very nervous that people moving at a high speed on 22 or to decelerate into Morgan Lane would then, potentially cause an accident for overflow onto 22. So rather than have that be a potential threat, they agreed to actually close off the entire frontage there and their access, which is a big deal because they were grandfathered with the DOT and would have to seek other, if they close it, they'd have to seek it in the future if they ever wanted to change it. But essentially, the traffic pattern that the board worked towards was to get people to leave the site by going back towards Stone Tavern to get through that exit, so they'd have a few hundred more feet to actually get back onto Route 22. So, well, I think you bring up a good point. Pedestrian activity or pedestrian signage and striping was really related to internal to the site because there were people, if the hotel is ever built, if the workers from Stone Tavern ever come over to Starbucks after it's built, they wanted to make sure that internally pedestrians were accounted for properly. Everything else really with the Starbucks, with the drive-through, which is the whole reason they were at the zoning board, is that it's an auto-oriented. They're really trying to attract people. A lot of their business comes from a drive-through. So what will likely happen is as people get used to that drive-through is they will do their drive-through and then they'll go across, out on Morgan Lane right over to the Jiffy Lube and get their coffee before they go for their appointment.
Just specifically thinking about Jiffy Lube, you drop
You
your car
gotta
off.
talk into the mic.
Sorry. I'm just specifically thinking of car service. Drop your car off, then you go get your coffee to kill a little time.
Well, there's always going to be some Jersey people that do that, in the words of Councilman Kirsch.
Even if you're
But-
making the turn onto Morgan, people come off of a turn pretty fast. So it's just something that kind of just caught my attention as you were talking earlier.
Just make sure you sign your name and address. Can I have a motion to close?
Reclose public comment.
Thank you. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So we are now moving into closed session.
You got to read.
Oh, I need a motion to move into closed session. Councilman Ring?
We need to
I
read
thought
it.
you were reading first.
Oh, okay, so the closed session will be about contract negotiations.
Read that.
I don't have this.
It's in.
Oh, okay. Be it resolved by the Bridgewater Township Council that this body will now convene in a closed session to discuss the following: contract negotiations, softball field and Superior Offers Association, SOA, and potential litigation relating to 1200 Route 22. When and if the matters discussed become public record, that information will be made known to the public at the appropriate time. The public is excluded from said meeting, and further notice is hereby dispensed with, all in accordance with Sections 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. So I think I already have a motion and I already have a second, so can we have a roll call?
No, we can make a motion now.
I thought we made the motion.
No,
Okay.
we were waiting for you to read that. so we can
Okay,
make the motion.
okay. Make the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a roll call?
You can do an aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Oh,
okay. A roll call. We need a roll call.
Councilman Bako,
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla,
Yes.
Councilman Rush,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
yes.
President Geiger.
Yes.
Madam President, could we handle the potential litigation first, because Ms. Sarmat is here specifically for
Yeah,
that?
okay. Okay, so I had asked for this. I had a meeting
I make a motion to close our meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
What a day. What a day, Joan. And for that, I earned a nice dinner. I'll see you next time, Joan. See you.